there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting and other crafts. This is episode 5. My name is Nicole, and you can find me on Instagram as profpurl, on Ravelry if you use that as profpurl. There's a group if you use Ravelry called Professor Purl Podcast. Also, there's an email, professorpurlpodcast@gmail.com. I'm recording this from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, Kyle, and my 3-year-old Mathilda. And my full-time job is a math education professor. So I teach content classes in math that future teachers take, and also pedagogy classes, essentially like how to teach math. And currently I'm actually on a sabbatical, which means I'm not teaching this semester, or actually this entire academic year, and I'm focusing on a research project and also taking some time to find some rest. And I've, in this time, have started this YouTube channel, and it's been really fun. And I have a giveaway because last episode we had reached 1,000 subscribers, and so I wanted to celebrate that by sharing a rustic wool, this Brooklyn Tweed shelter, American Targhee Columbia wool. It's in a color called newsprint. And I'm a big David's tea drinker, and so I wanted to share some David's tea. And this is s'mores chai. And so this little package is going to go to our winner, who I selected from the comments from the last episode. And the winner of this really fun package is Colleen Sanchez. So congratulations. Please send me an email with your contact information at professorpurlpodcast@gmail.com. And that reminds me that contact information and also all the show notes I actually list in the description bar below. For all the episodes, I've created some show notes and I put those in the description bar. So I hope you can find those and you find them helpful and useful. There will be another giveaway this episode, and I'm really excited to share that, but I want to share it where it fits in naturally with some knitting discussion. And what else? Oh, I should start off with I took some notes about what I want to say, but I didn't take any notes about what I'm wearing today. So I am wearing a little top that I made. It's super cropped. It's probably the most cropped top I've ever made, but I really like it. This is a top called the Rift, or just Rift Tee or Rift by Jacqueline C. Slack. And it was really well designed. I knit this maybe last summer or the summer before, so I don't remember all the ins and outs of the pattern, but I do think that it was more formulaic about like measuring your arm and just to find the right size, and it was definitely size inclusive. And although you can see there's a lot of stockinette, there was little details to it that make it feel very special. So I'm going to stand up and show you the side detail. That's just something really, it has a little side panel with some, I think some twisted rib perhaps, and a split hem. It's just such a subtle, simple thing that I think really makes it feel special. And the reason why I knit this super cropped was, well, one, I knew I wanted to wear it over a dress like this. This is a dress I purchased at Banana Republic, so I knew I wanted to make something for it. And so that was one reason why I think cropped sweaters look really nice over dresses, and I love to wear dresses to work. To me, they feel like wearing pajamas to work. They're like as opposed to like hard pants that are like squeezing me, or I don't know. I really like wearing dresses to work. And the other reason why I made this cropped is I was pulling yarn for my stash and I only had like one hank of this Blue Moon Fiber Arts BFL color. And a really fun thing about the Blue Moon Fiber Arts is out here in Oregon, her home base is here in Oregon, in Scappoose, Oregon. And so if you live in the area, I don't really know right now with COVID if that was happening this year or last year, but you know, in the before times, she would have these dye days and barn sales in about August. And so you could like sign up for a time slot to dye some yarn, which I have done with my husband. And she would have these sales, these barn sales, and she would have some, you know, extra inventory, quite a discount. But the fun thing is every hour of this barn sale, she'd do a raffle. And I won the raffle one day and she said, just pick anything off the wall you want, one skein. And so I picked this big hank of this bright color pink. And I'm out of that one giant hank, I made this crop top. And so that was really fun. And so it's BFL, and I think it's my first garment made out of BFL, and it's very warm, actually. So I need to wear this when it's a day that I need something warm, which is not really the case today because it's 79, but I'm inside in an air-conditioned home, and so it feels nice. The other thing I'm wearing is my new glasses, and I don't know how they'll show up on the screen. I'm thinking I might take them off actually, because I'm sure like my lighting is showing up interesting on them because they have the blue light blockers. So last year and the year before, when we pivoted from teaching fully in person to more hybrid modalities because of the pandemic, I was having increased time teaching on Zoom and online, and I was getting such headaches, and so I should have got these last year, but I got some blue light blockers and I'm so excited about them. I have a prescription, so I actually wear prescription glasses and I need them to see, and so this new prescription is just incredible. I put them on and I was like, oh my gosh, I could see so much that I couldn't see before with my glasses. So it's updated and it's great. And I don't always wear my glasses on the podcast because I don't really need to see anything. I'm just sitting here and I didn't want the lighting to glare, but I'm loving my pink glasses so much. I think I might take them off because I'm seeing some reflection, which might not be very appealing for you to look at. The other thing I'm wearing that I'll share that's not necessarily like knitting related are these amazing earrings. I said not necessarily knitting related because I actually think earrings are part of knitting. Hear me out here. I really like a big pair of earrings with my sweaters. This is one of the ways I like to style my hand knit sweaters. These earrings, they're flamingos. I don't know if you can tell. And Mathilda, my 3-year-old, loves flamingos. And so when I bought these, I was like, I have to wear these with this and my other bright pink sweaters, and Mathilda will love it. They're so good. And I also got another pair to match my Christmas sweater I'm working on. And I would consider this maker to be the queen of big earrings. Like I know not everybody's into big earrings, but if you are into big earrings or curious about big earrings, you should check out her Instagram. So let's see here. I don't know what her handle is, but this is the card that came always put together, and that's the maker. I really like her Instagram. Everything matches really well. Her earrings are huge and so cool. Anyway, I had to restrain myself a little bit. So that's what I'm wearing. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to finished objects, and today I only have one finished object, and it's not even a knitting finished object, it's a sewing finished object. But for me, it's a pretty epic sewing project that's finished because it's a dress and it's my first time sewing a dress. This is a dress that I have sewed for my daughter Mathilda. She's 3 years old, a tall 3 though. So when I show it to you, it's like a size 6 and it fits her just because she's very tall. And I guess I'm talking about it before I show it because I just want to put a disclaimer that I am a new sewist. So I learned a lot in this. So this particular dress is not perfect. Like I can see some of the flaws in it, and if you sew, you likely will see flaws in it too. But for me, I'm really proud because it was made with love and I really tried my best, and there's always room for improvement. So, okay, here it is. The fabric is a cotton and it looks like tie-dye. And the dress has these heart patch pockets, and the patch pockets are purple, which is her favorite color, and to kind of pull out the purple in this fabric. And they're, I don't know if you can tell, but they're sparkly. And the dress itself kind of has like a very like 60s sort of feel to it, where I don't know, it kind of has that very mod look to me. And the back has a button closure and like this little eyelet deal here. And yeah, so here it is. And the pattern, I don't really know how you explain sewing patterns, like the way you explain knitting patterns, but okay, so this is the packaging. I don't even know. I know like there's like simplicity is like a knitting pattern thing, and you know, and I have 100 acts of sewing pattern, but I don't really see where is it New Look? That's what I wasn't sure if that's the company New Look or if it's just saying this is a new look. I didn't know, but I just bought this at JoAnn Fabrics and it stood out to me because there was like a unicorn on it and I thought it was really cute. So basically I did this dress with the short sleeves and then those heart patch pockets. And what did I learn doing this? Like pretty much everything, because I've never sewn a dress. So I mean, there was interfacing here and back here, so I had to learn how to do that. I'm really proud of the inside. I don't know if you can see this inside here. I am pretty proud about the collar and the inside. The fabric, I don't even know like what kind it is or anything like that for details. I did also buy that at JoAnn Fabrics. But basically I had just got my sewing machine. This was 2 years ago. And I haven't been sewing a lot, and so there's been big breaks. I think sometimes it's hard to learn something new and easy to fall back on things that you do well, like knitting, you know. And so 2 years ago for my birthday, I got this sewing machine, and so I went to JoAnn Fabrics, and I just think I was buying kind of random fabric that was on the sale bin just to practice with. And this was some sort of like leftover little chunk, and this was too. And I think at the time I didn't buy them with this, and so I just had this fabric and to practice with or make something with, and then I saw this and I thought, oh, I think it might be enough, and it was. Actually, I had a lot more of this since I hadn't planned for it. The parts of this that were frustrating were the patch pockets for me. I found them really, really hard. I can't even tell you how many YouTube videos about patch pockets. I wonder if this would have been a rectangular patch pocket, if it would have gone better for me, but the heart kind of patch pocket situation, to me, they just, I don't know, I'm not really pleased with them. Like they look very imperfect to me, which is okay, except for if you want it to look like a perfect heart. And it was a lot harder to kind of like sew this on a curve than I realized, I guess. So the heart itself is like 2 pieces of fabric with interfacing, and then it's sewn onto it, and I don't know, I redid these 3 or 4 times. I can't even count how many times I redid these. And finally I was like, I'm just gonna let this be. And I made extra heart pockets thinking I'll just pick the 2 best of what I made. And then the leftover hearts Mathilda just plays with. I think she uses one of them right now as a pillow in her crib for her babies. And the other thing that was really, I think, like deceptively hard to me was putting the sleeves on. So it looked like it should just be easy to sew a sleeve to this hole, but it wasn't. And I also redid these a couple. I think I did. Yeah, I did this one. This is the sleeve I'm proud of. And this is the sleeve I'm like, I don't really like the look of this. I suppose I could tear it out again and try. At this point in time, I'm just gonna call it done, and Mathilda's gonna wear her first dress that I've sewn. And one day I would like to sew a dress for me, but this felt like quite a feat. So I don't know when I will be hopping into dressmaking again. I think I'm gonna take a break and do a couple cleansing projects that are a little bit easier than this for me. But I'm so proud that I kind of wrapped this up and Mathilda has it to wear. All right, now I'm gonna share my works in progress. So my first work in progress I'm going to show, I've shown on nearly all of the podcasts, episodes so far. We're on episode 5, and I think I've shown it on at least 4, and I might have mentioned it on the very first episode as well, and that is my Christmas sweater. So it's knit out of a worsted weight yarn from Le Mouton Rouge Knittery, dyed from there, in a colorway called Judy's Mint. You probably, if you are regular here, you probably know you probably know it's Judy's Mint at this point because I keep showing it. And I really cruised through the body, and now I'm losing some steam on it. So I feel like the podcast to thank, which is I was like, I'm going to set a goal just to do one tiny thing on it, so I have that to show. And so I kind of told myself I need to do the collar, and that's what I did since the last episode. I did the collar, and it looks a little floppy here, but when I've tried it on, it looks really cool. I think it's a folded over collar, obviously, but I think it's a little thicker of a folded over collar than a lot of folded over collars I see, and so that gives it sort of this mock turtleneck retro vibe, and I really like it. My personal opinion about folded over collars, I love them. However, I think if you start with a folded over collar and knit the rest of your sweater, that's easier than knitting a sweater, picking up stitches, and folding it over and sewing it down. So like if you start with a folded over collar, and you can modify any pattern you want to have a folded over collar by simply knitting it twice the length you want, or maybe a little bit more because it doesn't fold exactly in half, folding it in. And if you start with that, then you can just sort of like knit your stitches together, and then you can match all those V's up and with the stitches, and it's gonna be great. In this case, when you do it last, not first, you have to pick up stitches, which isn't so bad to do, a little inconvenient, and then you knit twice the length you want it to be, maybe a little bit more because of this fold here. And then you have to sew it down, and that takes time. I actually was like, I'm gonna time myself just to see how long it takes me to do this. And it took me, and maybe because I was not rushing myself, but it did take me 40 minutes to sew the collar down. And I was listening to an audiobook and just sort of enjoying the process. So it's great. I think if you're designing a pattern or adding it on, the preferred is start with it. But anyway, it's quite a bit of rambling about folded over collars, but I'm really pleased with this. I'm not in a rush to finish this sweater, so you're probably gonna see it on a few more episodes if I'm working on it. I just want to work on it leisurely and eventually finish it. And it'll be really fun to have. This will be my second holiday festive sweater this year that I've made. And there's still plenty of time for me to finish it. I only have 2 sleeves, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the sleeves like 3/4 lengths and fitted, so they shouldn't take too long. Yet I'm not gonna, I don't feel energized to, you know, just try and crank those out so right now. What I do feel energy towards working on is my Ankers tee. I'm participating in the Ankers Obsessed Knit Along, co-hosted by Lucy from This Nanny Knits and Alexandra from Fiberbound, 2 podcasts I've mentioned before on this channel. And I think their Ankers Obsessed Knit Along is such a good idea because there's so many different Ankers patterns, and so you can certainly find one that you're obsessed with to knit for a child. Even there's hats. I've decided to do the tee, and that's all I want to do. I think I could have finished it actually, but I'll show you why I didn't finish it because I started working on something else. But so the last time I showed it, I was here. Oh, I have a beautiful stitch marker here. I don't know if it'll show up or not. Oh, it's turned around. Let's see here. It's hard to see the stitch marker behind the tweed, but essentially it's resin with like a shell and some gold flecks. I think it's so beautiful. I bought this from Gabriella Makes on Instagram, and she has like the most beautiful stitch markers. And I'm knitting this out of Cedar House Yarns Tweed. I think I mentioned that I had 3 of these skeins or hanks in my stash, and I had to order a 4th one like a year or more later. And so obviously that's going to be dyed at a different time and have a different saturation level. Was very closely matching, but still I alternated in the body here, and I feel like you can't tell. And so this is the 4th sort of different skein, but I feel like it's hard to tell. And for alternating the yarn, I used a method that I always use for alternating that I've created a tutorial for, called the Easy Alternator. It's just like helical knitting in the sense that one row is one yarn, the next row is another yarn, the next row is another yarn, the next row is the other yarn. So in that sense, it's like helical knitting. Where it differs from a lot of people's methods on helical knitting, that's when I think about helical, I think about a spiral, and so the starting point sort of like changing. And so with a lot of the helical knitting tutorials I've seen on YouTube, people have a slip stitches and they like change their beginning of round, and there's none of that with this method that I use for alternating. It's just simply alternating yarns forward and backwards. It's super easy and produces the same effect with no change of beginning of round. So that, I'll link that below. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously like I'm at to the point where it's like a lot of stockinette, and I don't know, I can't wait to wear this. I tried it on and I'm like, this is such a good color. I feel like normally maybe not normally, but I would say a lot of times I knit something very bright to wear, which is great because I love wearing bright sweaters, and to me, things like this, I mean, really it can be a neutral because I wear them all the time, but like this is very like neutral for me. And the colorway is called Cervidae, and I'm just really obsessed with it. Like if I'm sitting outside, it gets purple tones and even pink tones, and inside where, you know, there's some natural light, but also this kind of artificial light, it has a very like taupe look to it. So anyway, I just love this color, and I tried this on, it looks so good, and I'm so excited to have this product that I think this is all I want to do. and I hope to finish this by October 9th, just because that's when the knit along ends, and it would be really fun to finish it when the knit along ends. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. I'm a big fan of kind of knitting jewelry, so that's sort of like where I was showing my stitch marker, but also I have, well, I guess this is the progress keeper, not the stitch marker. So I put that in so I can know how much I did since the last episode. But I also use a stitch marker to mark my beginning of round. And the stitch marker I'm using, I have a few of the Pearl Smith, I've mentioned those before, stitch markers that are pearls. And so I picked one that sort of matches my sweater. I love it when I'm knitting something and it, like, all of my knitting jewelry, like my stitch markers, my progress keeper, like when they look kind of matching and coordinated, like, love it. But it's obviously okay if that doesn't happen, but I love it when it does happen. Okay, so my third whip is what I've been working on since Saturday, and today is Tuesday. And it's a sock, and it's a test knit, but it's not a test knit for a pattern, it's a test knit for like self-striping gradient yarn. So there's the label, Specific Northwest Purls, and that's what she is on Instagram. And the base, it says it's hand-dyed in the USA, and the base is Rainier Base, which is a mountain in Washington. The name of it is called It's Showtime Kit. And so there's this movie called Beetlejuice, which is, you know, it's spooky season now. And so this movie Beetlejuice, I think I have watched Beetlejuice more than once. I haven't watched it in a while, so I don't remember, but I'm thinking Beetlejuice must say it's Showtime. I recall this, and he wears like a black and white outfit, which you can see referenced here. I'll show you. Okay, I'm thinking I should maybe knit more to show it to you, but so, okay. So here is my sock so far. And so this is a bright green, and it's a gradient to white, and then it starts self-striping white and black, and currently I've just started the heel. Okay, let me tell you about the sock and how interesting it is. So basically when it came as like this, like a pack of like minis with a main skein. This was the main skein, which is white and black striping, self-striping. But it came with this like purpley skein and this green skein. Well, when I was winding the purple skein, the one purple skein, it actually self-wound into two. And you can see one goes purple to white and one goes white to purple. Basically, that's just the way I wound it. I could have wound them both so they were white to purple, or both so they were purple to white. And then the same thing with the green. So this one's white to green. I've already knit the green to white one. So I basically have all these little mini skeins, and then here's the mini skein black. And so this was a gradient that was a green to white gradient. Then I switched to the self-striping, and then it'll be striped black and white, and then I will do this white to purple gradient for the toe. I think it's gonna look so cool. So because it's sort of like a spooky season sock, I put this, I have one Halloween progress keeper, and so I put that little one on. I actually got this many years ago from Molly at a homespun house. She had a kind of surprise Harry Potter box, and so this was the progress keeper that came with that. And right on the top of the pumpkin there's a little chocolate frog, and cute. So I put this here so I could see where I was after Saturday and Sunday of knitting. So that's where I got after Saturday and Sunday of knitting the sock, and then this is where I got on Monday, and I haven't knit it yet today. So So I actually got quite a bit done on Monday. I started the heel and everything. And I'm very proud of this. I think I will be able to finish it in time because the due date is September 30th. So I'm like proud of like working on it, setting my other projects aside and like devoting my time to this to get this done for that test knit so I can give good feedback. And a couple comments about that. So the type of feedback I've been working on is like weighing my yarn, and when I pull something out and not knit it, I weigh that. So for instance, on this gradient, I knew I wanted to start my stripes about here. And so I pulled some white out so I could start the stripes sooner rather than knitting all the white. And so I like weighed that amount. I am using my own sock recipe for this, like lots of sock knitters do. And I would say I have departed a little bit from my sock recipe in that I made the cuff much taller than I normally do. I normally do 20 rounds of twisted rib, and here I did 25 rounds. And the reason is I knew from knitting a scrappy sock that this, 10 gram mini, I wasn't gonna wanna use all of it for this gradient part. Like I knew that, so I was like, I have a choice. I could pull off some of the green and then go into doing my normal sock, or I could just knit a taller cuff than I normally do. And I decided to do a taller cuff because I really like the green a lot. I think it's really fun. And so I wanted to like have it. So I thought I'll have a sock with a taller cuff, which some of my commercial like smart wool socks and things have quite tall cuffs. So I thought, why not? And the other way I departed is I normally then would count 50 rows here before I start my heel flap. But what I decided to do was just go with the striping. And initially I was gonna do 3 black stripes and then do the heel because I thought that would look really cool. But then last night I decided to actually start the heel after the white for this reason. This is like a very nuanced reason, but I feel like if you're into sock knitting, you'll appreciate this. So when you do a slip stitch heel, I have this one to contrast. You can knit 1 row in your contrast yarn and then start the slip stitch detailing. Like that's one way to do it. And if you do that, you get this very clean line and then your slip stitches. Your other option is to not do that and just go straight into the slip stitches with your contrast color. And when you do that, you don't get a straight line, you get more of this toothy look. So see how it's like white, black, kind of toothy? We'll compare it to this over here. Where this is a straight line. And so you can kind of see the difference there. And I knew, I just really like this and I thought it would really stick out with the white and the black. So I knew that I wanted to switch to my heel on a white stripe. But this is getting to be quite a tall sock for me personally. So I knew that I needed to switch after just 2 stripes, which is a little bit sad because I do think this black and white striping is really cool. So I want to have as much of it as possible. But I'm thinking that I'll have much more my foot to go. So I'll still probably get that black and white striping effect before I go into the gradient. I think it's absolutely genius to combine this idea of gradients with self-striping. Like, I think it's just stellar. And so it's just really cool to be part of something like this. I think it's really fun. The other thing that's been really fun is as part of our like test knitting group, there was like a chat that we were all participating in. And so people are sharing like what they're doing, if they're pulling off any green or whatever, how they're knitting it, how many stitches, toe up, 2 at a time. And I'm really enjoying that community of like learning about the other ones. I'm just really enjoying that a lot. And anyway, so it's just been a really neat experience. I will say this. I might be the slowest sock knitter in that group though. Like humans are like knitting a sock in a weekend. That's just so impressive. I I don't know. I just don't knit socks that fast. And that's okay. I will finish by September 30th. But I just am not going to knit it in a weekend. And I felt like I knit a lot this weekend. It's just so funny. Anyway, the last thing I want to say is I've never actually mentioned my sock recipe at all on this channel. I will say this. I am very passionate about knitting with 9-inch needles. I love them. I think it makes the sock knitting very portable. But I don't like doing the heel on a 9-inch. So I do the heel with double points. So my favorite way of knitting socks is 9-inch needle, double points for the heel, 9-inch foot, double points for the toe. So I know everybody has a favorite. I know that people really like magic loop a lot, and I've knit a magic loop sock and I can see why. Like, compared to double points, your stitches are going to slip off when you put it in your project bag or basket because you just pull your needles through. Also, you don't need multiple sets of needles, like a 9-inch and double points. Like, you just have those and it works super well with that. But for me, I just like the 9-inch better than the magic loop. I like just like going around and around. And so even with the little slight inconvenience of like switching to double points for the heel and the toe, it doesn't bother me at all. And I love it. And I think that's a really fun thing about sock knitting is like you get to like explore what your preferences are and you get to do those and you get your little formula down and you can just keep doing it and making things that fit you well, that you love it, which is special and awesome. Okay. I'm keeping that in my little sock basket. I'm gonna have to switch this out of a basket into a bag for this weekend because I'm taking a little trip and I will need a closed bag for it. But in the meantime, I really enjoy at home keeping my things, my socks in a little basket and my sweaters in the big basket. It works really well for me at home. The Sip Sip Knit segment. Maybe I should have started with this instead of doing it mid, but let's take a little break and talk about it. So for Sip Sip Knit today, I actually went to go pick up my glasses from the eye doctor. And so after I picked up my glasses, I went and got a nice coffee. I'm wondering which of my viewers recognize this logo. Dutch Bros. Now, I'm from the Midwest and moved out here. We did not have a Dutch Bros in the Midwest. And so I discovered Dutch Bros upon moving out here. And it's like basically a drive-through coffee stand that has like, you can get plain black coffee for sure. But I would say they're pretty well-known, notorious, if you will, for their sugary coffee drinks. So if sugary coffee drinks are not your thing, you're not gonna like this. And I would say my husband does not like sugary coffee drinks. But there is a drink that he does get from there that is sugary that he likes, and it's called the Annihilator, and I like a drink that's called the Kicker. The Kicker is a brevet with Irish cream in it. Basically our like kind of family routine in terms of like Dutch Bros coffee is that we at most get it once a week. And if we get it on a Sunday. We usually take a walk to the coffee stand and like buy it and then walk home and maybe stop at a park or something. But we didn't do that this weekend. And so after I picked up my glasses, I knew I was going to come home, go for a walk, have lunch, and then I knew I was going to record this. And so I thought, you know what, I will just pick up a little Dutch Bros and talk about this. And the reason why I want to talk about it is I think if you are ever vacationing in the Pacific Northwest or on the West Coast, it could be a fun place to stop. And I've had several friends who have come out to visit me here in Oregon, and they always request to go to Dutch Bros. Seriously, they look forward to it. We just make a little trip and get a fun drink, and yeah, it's definitely has like a young vibe. Like usually there's like college kids working there. There's loud music pumping. they ask you too many questions about what you're doing. Okay, so I am hosting a Love Note knit along. I think I've mentioned it last episode. I have some videos up if you want to see them. And this is the first Love Note I made. If you're not familiar with the pattern, it's kind of it can be cropped or full length sweater. It has a lace detail, but again, you can leave I've also left the lace detail out. There's a brighter one. Okay. And so I've knit 3 of these for myself. And each time I've made one, because the pattern has sizes 0 to 6 months all the way up to 5XL, I can't help but think about other people I want to knit this for, and I definitely want to make one for my daughter Mathilda. Every time I make one, which has been 3 times, I think of her and how I want to make her one. And so when I decided to host a knit along for the Love Note, I thought, okay, maybe it's over ambitious, but I would like to knit one for her and one for me. But start with hers because I keep putting hers off, and so the knit along will motivate me to knit one for her. So I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you like think about your stash and you think about things that'll go. So in my mind, I was thinking about these 2 yarns and I wanted them to go together, but then they really kind of didn't in reality, which I will show. So I had this leftover mohair from my diaphanous raglan, which I showed on the very first episode. And this is a lot of mohair. I had this in my mind. And then I have this awesome yarn, this Isager, in a colorway called Peach. And I purchased this yarn on a trip to Sweden. We were in Umeå, Sweden, which is in northern Sweden. And I went to a yarn store called Garn, and I had purchased this yarn. At the time, Mathilda was 6 months old, and so I thought, oh, I will make her a cardigan out of this. Well, I never did, and now I don't have enough to knit her a fingering weight cardigan out of it. It is yarn that is 50% alpaca and 50% wool. And so there's a little bit of fuzz factor to it. It's a beautiful yarn. Like, this is incredible. And like just in person, it's like a peach that has gray undertones. And so in my mind, these 2 went together. And I don't think they actually look that bad on camera, but like in person, these were almost like clashing to me. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if this is, again, I'm not a color expert, but I feel like this maybe was warmer and this was cooler. I don't know. And this has more purples to it. And I don't know. It wasn't working together in person. Once I actually pulled it out of my stash and put it together, and I was kind of like, uh-oh, what am I gonna do? And so I definitely feel committed to using this for Mathilda, for her Love Note, because if I pair a mohair with it, it will look really great. So what I did is I ended up making a yarn purchase since the last episode to complement this. And again, it's so hard to buy online, but I was searching for sort of a light pink peachy mohair, and it's hard to buy online, but I decided I would go with an Isager mohair as well. And when I was searching where they are, like they were, for instance, sold at Stephen & Penelope, which is in Amsterdam, and it'd be great to purchase from there, but I just was thinking it would be nice to maybe not pay for the international shipping plus the delay in getting an international package. So I ended up finding somewhere in the US that had it. There was lots of places that had this mohair, but not this particular colorway that I wanted. And what was really fun is it was from a yarn store that I've actually visited in person, which is Firefly Fibers in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, I think in 2019. That's where I got the yarn for this Love Note, was at Firefly. So it was really cool to be able to go there online and purchase. And so I got this mohair for my Love Note, or for Mathilda's Love Note. And there's this card from Firefly. And there's a little note on the back. It says, "Hi Nicole, thank you so much, and happy mohair making." And I'll show you this together paired. And I just think this is a much better pairing. I think it's gonna be really great. So now I just need a swatch for that, and I'm gonna be ready to roll for the Love Note knit along. So I did want to share a couple things about the Love Note knit along before sharing 2 other dream knitting things. So there's a whole video about the knit along, and the hashtag is Love Note Love KAL, and you can use that for Instagram. So we'll have some Ravelry things, some Instagram things, and the cast-on's on October 1st. And so I was thinking it would be really fun to have a cast-on party on October 1st, which is a Friday. The challenge is picking a time, which is what I said last time. So I've picked a time, and I'm certain it's not going to work for everybody, but it's honestly just like what works best for my schedule. So maybe if you can't be there, you can watch the video retrospectively on YouTube, or not watch it at all and just enjoy casting on your own time. So the Love Note Love Knit Along Cast On Party is going to be on YouTube Live on Friday, October 1st at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 9:30 Central Time, which is 10:30 Eastern Time. And this is where I struggled, because I was like, that's pretty late on a Friday night on the East Coast and of the United States, and that may not be very appealing. But you know, I don't want, with my work day and things like this, I don't want to do it necessarily earlier in the day, and it's just what works best for me is 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I was looking to see internationally, like times that might work, and if you live in Australia, I think that'll be around noon your time, so like that potentially could work out for you. And if you live in Europe, you probably won't want to come because it'll be early in the morning, like really early. I think I saw Belgium was like 4:30 in the morning or something. So I apologize about that, and hopefully in the future, if I do any other kind of lives, I can find a better time for everybody. But so there we go, and I'm just really excited. I just thought it would be fun to kind of cast on. I think for myself, since the cast on is a provisional cast on and I'm kind of slow at that, I might actually just like, I might start my cast on prior to the YouTube and then maybe be working on my lace during the YouTube cast on. And yeah, I just thought it would be fun for us to chat. I think I can see comments come through live and I could answer those and things like that. Hopefully people come. If not, I'll just chat with myself. Okay, so that is my first dream knitting. And I put it in dream knitting because I have been dreaming about this for a long time, and I'm really excited that the knit along is giving me the motivation to finally make Mathilda a Love Note. Okay, my next dream knitting, I've actually already mentioned a little bit, but I'm going to share what the yarn looks like in person. I mean, as much as YouTube video with my phone is in person, but on my first episode, I shared this beautiful book that I have, Kofteboken 3. It's Norwegian. I'm probably not saying that well, but there's a lot of patterns in here I want to make, and the first one I'm going to make is this jacket that's on the cover, actually. I'll show this picture. So I've already shown this on the channel. But last episode, I asked people to share like what's their favorite thing to knit with rustic yarn, and there was an overwhelming response of color work. And I realized, despite having knit a lot of color work in my life, I have not knit a lot of rustic color work, like color work done in rustic yarn. And I have this in my stash. Sorry for the crinkle. I'll just pull out a couple. I bought this with the gift certificate I got for Christmas last year from my mother-in-law. And I purchased it from Wall of Yarn. It's in Illinois. And this is Rama Garn Vinyl. Is that how you say it? And these are my two colors. Okay, so they're kind of blowing out. This is pretty true to color right here. And this is on one hand in my comfort zone because I love yellows. In addition to pink, I do love yellow. And so on one hand, this is in my wheelhouse because this is kind of it's a yellow, golden. So in this sense, it fits in my wheelhouse. I also, when I was picking out yarn, had a pink and black set aside, and I don't want to say I regret not getting the pink and black because I'm glad I got this and I'm excited to knit this, but I also like still keep thinking about the pink and black. So I think I just need to knit two of these things. And since I'm going to go through the effort of translating the pattern, I might as well like knit two of these. And so anyway, I'm sharing this dream knitting, the actual color work, because reading all the comments about rustic yarn and color work, I feel like, what am I doing? I need to be doing a rustic color work sweater. So I'm going to swatch for this week or next week, like soon. I've pulled it out. It's out of stash. It is now it's out in the world. We're ready to swatch for the sweater. I'm not claiming to cast the sweater on because I do want to finish my Ankers, but I am going to swatch for it. And I'm so excited. Even just touching this yarn right now, I'm thrilled. Okay. So that is two of my dream knittings. All right. And my third dream knitting is going to be another book I'm going to show. This is Embody. And it is a capsule collection of knitting and sewing. And the designer, who's on the cover here, she is the designer of the sweater that I'm wearing today. And in this book, she's created a beautiful collection of knitting and sewing items, and they're just super flexible, which I'll get into. And I thought I would first just maybe read a couple of sentences out of her introduction to sort of give you sort of like her guiding lens for this book. And okay, so I won't read the whole thing, but I will read maybe 3 sentences. It has been almost 5 years now since I stopped trying to shrink my body, and just over 4 years since I started sewing. At a time when I was newly resolved to reject diet culture, making my own clothes became a means of establishing intimacy with myself and getting to know a body that I had previously seen as transient. It was also a practice of necessity. I could not find the things I wanted to wear in my size, so I had to learn to make them. This collection is a love letter to my fat body. Powerful, soft, resilient, fallible, imposing, sensual, abundant. I will stop, but so you can purchase it and read the rest. And that's how the whole thing is. I just feel like it's a book about self-love. And there are no words. It's so good. So just an example of like the flexibility I was referring to. So this sweater pattern here, that's short sleeved. You also can make it into a cardigan. Like, the same pattern but flexibility. And then I won't show the pages, but she also like basically creates sort of like pages towards creating a very customized fit. So like you're measuring different parts of your body and filling in the blank to create a very customizable pattern for yourself. Like, just to give you perspective, all this here, these are all devoted towards the measuring and the kind of recipe for it. Just so neat. And the other thing that was very attractive to me is that it's a book that contains not just knitting, but also sewing, since I'm getting interested in sewing. And let me just show really quick. This wolf work dress / tunic. So the wolf work basically is this sewing pattern that you can create a tunic, a dress with long sleeves, like a longer dress with no sleeves. So basically it has 3 length options and 3 sleeve options. So in terms of permutations, 3 times 3, that's 9. It's 9 different shirts and dresses you could create. And what I would love to do is to make the tunic and also this cropped short sleeve little number. A little intimidated by the sleeves since I struggled with the sleeves on Mathilda's dress, but I think this is like goals of like where I'd like to go with my sewing. And I don't necessarily see myself like relying solely on a capsule wardrobe, but I definitely appreciate a capsule wardrobe for 2 reasons. One is the idea of minimizing, like having less and being more creative with what you have. And then the other reason that a capsule wardrobe is appealing to me is the idea of like traveling. If you have a small capsule wardrobe, you would maybe be a better traveler, like a lighter packer, going places, particularly international travel if things can open up in the future. So that is definitely nothing in the near future, but it's definitely, I can't even tell you how many. I got this maybe just shortly after I recorded my last episode, and I just keep reading through this, and I love the smell of the pages. It's just, this is good. Okay, so since we talked about the dream knitting, this will be a good segue to the giveaway for this episode, which is, I did mention the Love Knit Along that's coming up, and I received a package for the Love Knit Along, and it came just yesterday in this like very iridescent bag full of stickers. And I went to her Instagram, and she's Hand Stitch Life just on Instagram, and I noticed that I do think this is how she normally packages things. At least the packages that were on her Instagram looks like she includes a sticker and a fun package. And she sent a very encouraging note and this cute card that says, "You a grow girl," and her name is Jen. And it was a very sweet card. And for the Love Knit Along, she donated 5 sets of these. Oh, let's see if they will show up. I don't know if this is showing up, but it is a little envelope with a little heart on it, like a love note. That's her logo, Hand Stitch Life. And then the back are coordinating little stitch markers, which is great because the Love Note has some lace. And so one thing you can do with lace is like put the stitch markers, like it's a 12 stitch repeat. I don't think I'm giving anything away really. And so you could put the markers every 12 or 24 or 36, whatever you want. so that you can keep on track for your lace. And so I was thinking that could be nice. And this could be nice for your marking the progress. She donated 5 of those. So I was thinking that'll be great to save for the Love Note Love Knit Along as prizes. And it's the first prize that's arrived. There's a digital prize as well that's donated from Tin Can Knits, which will be a ebook, any choice ebook. And there's one other thing in the mail that hopefully I will show next episode. And she donated, let's see if I can pull these all out. So generous. So the Hand Stitch Life, Jen, she sent all these stitch markers. Oh my, like what? I can't wait to like give them to everybody. So I thought I would save this one for the Love Knit Along as well. It's a sweater, and so I was thinking that would be very appropriate. Okay, so then there's these ones. So these ones are all the Love Note. Okay. And there's all these other ones. So I think I'm gonna save a couple for giveaways for like next episode or maybe the YouTube live. So I'll pick a couple right now for today's giveaway. Okay, I have picked, well, I guess maybe, okay. I was thinking I would do one of these as a giveaway for this episode. It's a Ouija board, and then it has this like blue on the back. And I was thinking that would be really nice to give away this episode because it's kind of spooky and it's spooky season. And so I'm thinking this would be really appropriate to give away now. And when this came yesterday, when we were looking, my husband and I, at these, like he was like, oh my gosh, look at that one. This one away this episode as well. How about I do 3 of them? So there'll be 3 winners this episode, because look at this one. I feel like this just goes with my outfit today. It's like a pink glittery bow. And so, okay, so these will be the 3 I'll give away this episode. So there'll be 3 winners this episode based on a comment. And the comment would be, tell me about your dream knitting. So I've just shared an overwhelming amount of dream knitting. So tell me like what you are just dreaming about knitting. What's your like on your bucket list, your dream knitting list. And that'll likely expose me to a lot of really great ideas. So I'm excited to read those comments. And yeah, so those will be the 3 for this episode. And I decided to for sure keep one for myself. And I decided to keep this one for myself, which is this little toucan. I just think it's so cute. And it's yellow. I don't have any yellow stitch markers. I just think it's so sweet. So yeah, I'll show more of these again because there was a huge pile. So Jen, thank you so much for sharing this generosity. So excited. Okay. I have so much stuff that I'm like, I pile here. I was like, where's the one thing I'm looking for now? And it was like right in front of me. So the next thing I want to share is a well-worn knit. So that's one of my segments where I show something that gets a lot of love and attention in my wardrobe. And this time, it's not a sweater I'm going to show, but it is some fingerless mitts. And it's made out of rustic wool. It's made out of West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, so that's why I wanted to show it. And I did not knit these. So I don't know if I mentioned this or not on any previous episodes, but my husband is a knitter. I wouldn't say that he's as passionate about knitting as I am, but I would say like he does know how to knit and he does make a lot of gifts. And so one of the things he has made was a pair of fingerless mitts for himself. And then shortly thereafter, he made me a pair. And these are several years old now. But one of the things that makes them well worn, like they're almost like felted, is not as much now with like COVID and being on sabbatical, but sort of like prior to that situation, I would ride my bike to work every day because I don't live that far from campus. And I also think it's just nice to try and bike commute as much as possible. And so these were my bike commuting gloves. And what makes them nice for bike is I could still grip my bike well and like do my like brakes and things like that. But also it did give me some warmth. But then since they are made of rustic wool, I felt like I had like a good grip on my bike. So these are like my commuter sort of mittens, some Fingerless Mitts, and yeah, and they're special because my husband made them for me, and they match his because they're the same color. And I asked him this morning, like, do you remember if you like use a pattern or not? And he used a pattern for his own, although we don't remember what pattern it was. And then he didn't like the thumb on them, and so he did a different thumb. And then his are like longer than these. So I think he had basically used one Fingerless mitt pattern and then modified the bottom, the top, and the thumb. So basically probably just, I think what he was saying really is that he used the stitch counts probably to know the width, and then kind of did his own thing for these ones. So yeah, so that's special, and I treasure these every time I wear them. So one of the questions for the podcast that was on Ravelry was, can you talk about sizing? So the reason why I brought both of my love notes was to kind of talk about this and like why I ended up actually knitting two different sizes. So when you're picking a size for the Love Note sweater or other sweaters that have a lot of positives, like the Ranunculus, for example, or the Boxy sweater by Jovi Locatelli, it can be challenging because the pattern will have a recommended positive ease, which means how much ease from your body to the sweater. Like, so for instance, I have a 38.5 inch bust. So if I knit a 40-inch garment, 40 inches minus 38.5 inches is 1.5 inches. That would mean that I would have a 1.5 inch ease on my bust. Now, so certain sweaters like this are meant to have a lot of positive ease, and they will say things like, I don't have the Love Note pattern by me now, but it might say 6 to 10 inches of positive ease, something like this. Well, depending on your bust size, you could actually fit into two different sizes actually, or with the recommended ease, particularly if it's a wide band of positive ease. So in that sense, it sort of becomes personal preference. So for me, I could fit based on recommended ease, both in a size medium and in a size large. The size medium with less positive ease and the size large with more positive ease. And it can be very difficult to decide. And so what I did for deciding to knit a medium is I had a commercial sweater in my wardrobe that I liked to wear and I knew fit me well. And I took my commercial sweater out and I laid it out on this ottoman in front of me actually, and I measured the width of the front of it. And then I doubled that to get the circumference of the sweater. And then I looked on the Love Note pattern and I saw where that fit into what size, and it was a size medium. And so I decided to knit the size medium. It's actually how I picked the size for this sweater. And then I put the sweater on when it was done and blocked, and I really liked it. And that was that. It did not fit me very loose like a sweatshirt or something. It does have, I don't know how many inches of positive ease this has, but it has plenty of positive ease in it. But I just remember feeling like it wasn't super oversized and then wanting something that was way more oversized. And so then I knit the size large. I think sometimes people think like, oh, I don't want to knit something with a lot of positive ease. That doesn't look good on me. I've heard people say these things like in different kind of social situations, like knitting social situations. I don't know. I think I've seen nearly all body types look good with some positive ease. So I wouldn't feel insecure about making a garment for yourself that's bigger than your actual body. I think that can look amazing on many different body types, very, very small circumference to larger circumference. I would say though, how much positive ease you like is a matter of personal preference, and you can discover that through clothes you own. Like if there's a t-shirt you like that you feel really good in, maybe you want a sweater that has that same sort of like vibe, and that might be good to measure. Or you discover it through knitting the sweaters. So for instance, I used a commercial sweater to decide to knit this in a size medium, and I certainly do love this, but I don't know, maybe I go towards this more because it's a size large, or maybe I go towards this more because it's a super bright color. Who knows? But my third one, I did knit a size large again. So I think you also can, not that you need to knit 2 Love Notes to decide, but I think also, I guess what I'm trying to say is you can discover how much positive ease you really like in a sweater by knitting a sweater. And so you often have to like kind of take that first step out. I also think that just because you choose to knit one size in one particular garment doesn't mean you're always going to do it in that way moving forward. Meaning, I've knit a medium and a large, and I might knit a medium again, or I might knit a large again. This depends. I think actually for my next one, I might knit a medium because it's a very fluffy fabric, so I might not. I don't know, we'll see. But for this particular sweater, I purposely only knit it with a few inches of positive ease because of how I wanted to wear it. But I would like to knit another one of these again that's longer, that I can wear with jeans. I mean, I could wear this with jeans, just I prefer a crop top that's a little bit longer with jeans, and I think I would like it a bit boxier the next time I knit it, so I would go up a size if that's the case. So I just think it's personal preference too. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I just really appreciate your support in this channel. It's been just so fun. This is the 5th episode, and I've just really been enjoying each and every one of these and all the comments that you leave below. I try to reply to every single one of them, and I can't tell you how many of them I'm replying to and I'm laughing out loud because they're so funny, or you know, there's just some really sweet ones too. And your comments are just really uplifting, and it's just made me appreciate the knitting community more than I already did. So thank you. I'm going to transition to full-on personal things at this point. So if you are not interested in that, thank you. So about personal things, I live in the Portland, Oregon area, south of Portland, Oregon, and it rained this weekend, and it was the first time in a while it's rained. And I feel like I'm really becoming a real Oregonian now, because when the rain comes, I'm like super excited for it, and I feel like rainy season's coming. And when it rained, I felt like it hadn't rained in a really long time. And then I did some searching on some articles online, and I discovered indeed it had not rained in a really long time. Actually, the last time Portland, Oregon had an inch of recorded rain was in January. So it had been a while, and there was a reason why everything just seemed really freshened after this rain. And so I'm just so thankful for the rain. And it was really fun timing, because you can't have a rainbow without rain. And what I mean by that is, I have wanted to buy one of these kind of like STEM, science, technology, engineering, math kind of boxes for Mathilda from this company called Tweed for a while. And I just always was like, kind of like putting it off. I don't know why. I wasn't sure if it would be worth it, I guess. And I got a coupon. And so I used it and ended up getting her one of these subscription boxes. And it came on Thursday or Friday. And it rained this weekend. So we had this thing, this activity box. And it was like the perfect rainy day activity. And she had so much fun with it. And so I wanted to share just kind of some of the crafts she did out of this box, the subscription box. Since she's 3, there's different types of boxes you can get. You can get very like engineering focused boxes. I think mine was more of an art focused box, but it had a little science lesson about rainbows in it, which was like perfect timing because we even saw a rainbow on Saturday. And we had rain, so it was, you know, you can't have a rainbow without rain, so it was like the perfect lesson, and it just had showed up on our doorstep. So it was so exciting. And so they have different boxes you can pick, and because she's 3, I picked what's called a Koala Box, which is ages 2 through 5. And the crafts are really cool. Now, certainly I could probably do this at home without it actually coming to my door, but it was nice to have it all done for me, like in a single box. So yeah, so basically she made this pillow, which the pillow was already like cut out and sewn, which now that I'm a sewist, I guess I could have done this. But so all she had to do is like make this rainbow and stuff it. But that was a lot for her, particularly the coordination of peeling the stickers off and like making sure that it went from largest to smallest for a 3-year-old. I think that was like good motor skills for her to work on. And it was interesting, when she was stuffing it, she did not like the texture of the polyfill. And so it was like fun to like be like, you're okay to touch something like that, even if you like, even though you're not used to it, like it's okay, you know? And yeah, so she made this pillow and it was so cute. She used it this weekend for her dolls to sleep on, and she was calling them her darlings and she was reading to them, and it was really sweet. And then as a lesson is we would practice like what all these colors were called: violet, indigo, blue, and then we also worked on them in Spanish. So that was really fun. And she just honestly wanted to do all the crafts right away. So we just finished our last craft. We had to like make her like kind of stretch them out. We're like, we can't do them all at once. We want to enjoy them and stretch them out. So we did the other 2 the next day. And the next craft was basically you dyed this tote bag. So it came as a blank tote bag, and then you essentially dyed it using tissue paper, which I thought was really fun. And it came with the tissue paper squares and the water droplet. And then once it dried, you could decorate it with these felt stickers, and she put these clouds on there. And it's been really fun to see her like crafting like her mom, I guess, and really enjoying the products. Like she's been playing with these and just very proud of them. And the last project that came in the box was this. It's maybe not as cool here because it's basically like it's supposed to be a stained glass. Yeah, it looks really neat up against the window because these are the same tissue paper squares. And then you make a scene out of like the black and it shines through. And so this taught about like, I feel like both of these taught like what the colors in the rainbow are and to work on them, and this particularly the order. And then this was a good conversation topic about like how like you have to have water particles in the air in order to make a rainbow. And I thought I'd share a couple of things that came with it. And so it came with like the directions of how to do each of the activities, which I thought was super nice. And then it came with some extra materials like to read. So one was like a story, and then there was an activity page, and then there was a page all about like the science about rainbows. And it even came with suggested readings of books you can check out from your library. But we already had a book about rainbows here at home that we could use. So I thought that was really cool. I guess I ended up going a little bit on and on about it because it was a joy to watch her learn and to have that. And I definitely really enjoyed it. It didn't last long at our house. Like, we did it within 2 days, all of it. And that was us like making it stretch just because I think she enjoyed it. Did suggest some other activities you can do on your own. There's a QR code. I haven't scanned that yet, but I think I need to. It looks like there's like at least 2 more activities that I could do if I get my own supplies here at home, which I likely as a teacher would have. Anyway, that's called the KiwiCo box, and I think you can buy a single box or get a subscription. Anyway, if you're interested in a $10 off coupon, I will link that below. If you have a child in your life, that could be a fun gift. So yeah, I think that kind of sums up like some of our like experiences at home. Like, we've just been doing things together at home and even outside a little bit. We went for a nature walk at the Tualatin Wildlife Refuge, and we brought binoculars with us and we went and looked for birds. I wrote down some of the birds we saw. We found a woodpecker, and it was really neat because there was some people that had these giant lenses on their cameras and they were taking pictures of the woodpecker as well. And we found some blue herons, some osprey, we didn't see a beaver, but we found some evidence of a beaver. And so we just had a fun time doing the Tualatin Wildlife Trail. If you're from this area, you know it's not an intense hike at all. It is a total child-friendly hike. And I would add that one of the things they have going on right now that's exceptional for children is they have like signs up along the trail of like little activities, and they're both in English and Spanish, and they also have differentiation on them in terms of like skill level, and each of the signs teaches you something. So for instance, one of the signs was about a hummingbird and how fast their wings flap in a second, and then ask the child to try to flap their wings like a hummingbird. And so they had like these very like physical embodiment activities, each sign, and it gave you something to look forward to as you were like going down the trail. And we've done the Tualatin Wildlife Refuge Trail a few times, but those signs haven't been up, so that was like a really fun addition. Another thing we've been doing at home, and we've been doing this for a year, is every Sunday we have Pizza Sunday at home. We have a Uni pizza oven. It's a wood fire pizza oven. Ours is, I think, hybrid. You can do wood pellets or gas, and we make pizzas at home. And so we've been enjoying doing that. And so I think I'll pop in some pictures here of some of our pizzas we make so you can see, but I've always enjoyed like pizza nights as a family. As a child, I've always loved pizza. And so it's been fun to kind of like stop ordering pizza out and just exclusively make our own pizzas, which I would say we've been doing that for about a year now, which has been really fun. And my husband's gotten really into like all the kind of dough making, and he also is into sourdough bread making and stuff like that. And the other thing is, since it's, you know, almost fall officially now, things like dance lessons and violin lessons, they have started back up. For Mathilda's dance lessons, she's taking ballet and tap, and I would say she really enjoys it. I think it seems like she likes the ballet part more than the tap, and I think that has to do more with like the types of music that they play during those times. In terms of violin lessons, like I play piano and clarinet probably the most. Those are my 2 instruments I probably play the most. And I used to play the clarinet in my university's orchestra before COVID. And this year our orchestra is resuming, but I don't really feel comfortable going right now back to the orchestra because Mathilda is not vaccinated yet. And so I don't think I'm going to be playing my clarinet in the orchestra this year, which I'm a little sad to not be doing that, but I've decided to really focus on Mathilda's music and helping her kind of find her way. And like, So I tried to play piano with her, and I'm teaching myself violin as she's learning it as well, so we can learn that together. And so that's been really fun. So I thought today I would just sort of share sort of those kind of everyday, not super exciting things, but the things that make your day like special just because they're the things you do, and like finding the joy in those like everyday things. And so those are some of mine right now. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, watching, and commenting. Bye.